What truly defines how a hero meets their end? Is it always, the huge battle, the grand finale? Or could it be something, well, something more personal, more painful even? Today, we're doing a deep dive into the story of Bahram Chobin. He's this legendary figure from ancient Persia, and his final chapter, it really makes you think about triumph, tragedy, and what makes a legend stick around.
That's exactly right. We're going to unpack that final, really dramatic part of his life, looking closely at the source material you've got there. Expect a story filled with ambition, a massive battle, yes, but also this absolutely shocking betrayal. It sealed his fate, but in a strange way, it also kind of cemented his legacy. We'll explore not just the what happened, but the why it matters, why his story still resonates, helping you really grasp its significance.
Okay, let's get into it. So the year is 591 CE. We're not in Persia. We're way out on the steppes of Turkestan. Vast place. And there's Bahram Chobin. He's been exiled, right? But he's not broken, no. He's actively rallying Persic tribes. The sources say he was training this new army, this burning resolve in his eyes. Can you picture it? All those yurts, like a sea of tents under this big, maybe gray sky, all focused on his goal. Getting back what he believed was his.
And he wasn't doing this alone, which is crucial. He had his sister Gordy with him, described as fierce, a warrior herself, and his brother Bistam, who was wounded but still there. Their presence really highlights the personal stakes. This wasn't just a power grab, it was family, it was redemption. So together, they start this march back towards Persia's borders, and that leads inevitably to a major clash with Khosrow Parviz's army near the Caspian Sea.
Right, the big battle. And the sources, they really paint a picture, don't they? Swords ringing out, arrows whistling, the ground shaking from cavalry charges, chaos. And Bahram himself, legend says he was unmatched, his sword a blur, just cutting down enemies left and right. But here's the twist, or part of it. Khosrow had more soldiers, and maybe more importantly, these Byzantine tactics they were using. You mentioned those.
Yes, that's a key point. Byzantine tactics, then, they weren't just about brute force. They involved disciplined formations, very coordinated moves, things like feigned retreats. Clever stuff.
Like pretending to run away to lure the enemy into a trap.
Exactly. Designed to break up enemy lines, shatter their cohesion, mess with their morale.
So even with Bahram's incredible skill and the ferocity of his Turkic allies, the strategic edge, well, it started to wear them down.
The accounts even capture his desperate shout, "For the honor of Persia!" It builds to this almost cinematic moment, doesn't it? Bahram, nearly alone, armor streaked with blood, just defiant.
But just as you think this is the climax, the story takes this awful turn. Despite everything Bahram's doing, the battle isn't decided by Khosrow's army. Not really. It's his own allies, the Turkic tribes he'd rallied. They turn on him. Mid-battle. Was that sort of thing? I mean, did alliances shift like that often back then? Or was this different?
Well, alliances could be fragile, certainly, but the sources here are quite specific. They pin it on envy, jealousy of Bahram's ambition. It suggests it wasn't just strategy, it was personal. Maybe they feared he'd become too powerful, that he'd go from being an ally to their new ruler.
So self-interest trumped everything.
Pretty much. A classic, if brutal, example of how partnerships can just crumble under pressure. It makes this betrayal feel particularly sharp.
In the act itself, it's described so chillingly. This chieftain, he has a scarred face, apparently. Someone Bahram might have been fighting beside just moments before. He pulls out a hidden dagger, strikes him in the back. Not face-to-face combat, but treachery. And whispers, "Your pride ends here." It's just devastating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the immediate aftermath is just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Gordy sees it happen. She screams, rushes to him.
His sister.
Right, but it's too late. He falls, life just draining away as he clutches the ground. And Bistam, his brother, too wounded to help, just cries out this lament, "Brother, you were our king." It really brings home the personal loss, beyond just the military defeat.
So the battle ends, but the scene shifts. It's quieter now. Gordy is by a campfire, holding Bahram's body. Tears falling, just raw grief. And right there, she makes this vow. Your name will live in our songs. A promise, even in that moment of total loss, to keep his memory alive.
And that's an important detail, because while Khosrow's side technically won this betrayal, it really tainted their victory. It wasn't this clean win achieved purely through military might. The sources reflect on this, saying something like a hero's end was sealed not by an enemy sword, but by the sting of treachery. Which makes you wonder, doesn't it? Does that kind of end diminish the hero, or does it somehow elevate their tragic status?
That's a really good question. But Bahram's story, it doesn't just stop there with his death on the battlefield. Word spreads. across the Persian plains. This wasn't just news of a defeat, it was the fall of a legend.
Exactly. And his tribe, even though they lost, they hold this solemn ceremony, lighting fires to honor his spirit. These ancient rituals of remembrance. And the storytellers are key here. They chant his deeds. They don't just mourn, they celebrate. They recall the bulk victory, that huge win he had earlier, the time he briefly took the crown in Ctesiphon, his defiance. Even in exile, they're making sure those parts of his story aren't forgotten.
And Gordy, his sister, she really lives up to that vow she made by the campfire. She becomes this guardian of his memory, leading the mourning, her voice apparently breaking but still strong, declaring, "He was more than a king, he was our heart."
Hmm.
It's striking, isn't it, that his legacy is so powerful, even though he was ultimately defeated and betrayed like that. What does that tell us about how we remember heroes? Is it the final score or the spirit?
That's a really profound point. I think Bahram's enduring legacy suggests that often it is the spirit that resonates. That courage, the willingness to stand up against what's seen as tyranny, that's what people hold on to. His defiance, even when things looked hopeless, that made him a symbol. And the betrayal, horrible as it was, almost adds to it. It makes him seem like a martyr in a way, brought down by jealousy and human weakness, not a lack of skill or bravery.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the sources, as we wrap up this deep dive, they leave us with this really potent image. The steps at dusk, vast, empty, and just a single torch burning against the twilight. It's simple, but it represents his courage, doesn't it? Undying. His legacy, they say, lives on in Persian lore, a symbol of resilience, a name that still echoes.
Absolutely. Bahram Chobin's fall was, without doubt, a tragedy. A hero struck down, not by a worthy opponent, but by treachery from his own side.
Yeah, a really devastating end. But despite that, his name, his story, it still shines. It's remembered for bravery, for resilience.
So as you think about Bahram Chobin's story, here's something to mull over. Was that level of courage, that unwavering drive worth the price it demanded, knowing it led to such a tragic end? Or maybe should he have sought peace instead, avoided that final fatal clash? What does his story tell you about ambition, about loyalty, and about how legends are truly made and how they last?